Today I'm reacting to your wrestling hot takes. If you didn't know, Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether they're good or bad, about the current state of professional wrestling. So if you want to be part of next week's Hot Takes video, make sure that you're following me on X. I ask for your hot take on there every single Friday. But don't forget, we also do premium live event hot takes, so we'll be doing Clash at the Castle hot takes next weekend as well. I'll ask for your Clash at the Castle hot takes on Saturday right after the show. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm confident that you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's read your stupid shit. The Alpha Academy story could really launch Otis into stardom in a correct way, unlike his Money in the Bank stint. The Money in the Bank stint really just felt unearned. It just sort of felt like a swerve for the sake of it being a swerve. Remember, over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about how something being predictable doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. Well, something being unpredictable, something being from out of left field, doesn't automatically make it good. And Otis winning Money in the Bank was the most random decision that did not end up working out for the WWE because it wasn't good, because it didn't make any sense. However, this current push for Otis feels so real. It feels like the end goal is going to end up being so organic. And I'm excited for when it eventually does happen. I'm excited for Otis to eventually break the shackles and attack Chad Gable and go after the Intercontinental Championship. Is it going to propel him to the main event scene where he's going to be winning WWE championships like the Money in the Bank originally tried to set him up to be? I don't think so, but I still think that you can be a superstar in the world of the WWE without necessarily having to always go after world gold. I think the Intercontinental Championship is a great ceiling to have in this day and age in the WWE, where the mid-card titles feel incredibly special. So yes, I'm with you. I believe that if executed perfectly, if everything is done exactly how it needs to go, the pop is going to be so monumental that the WWE may borderline have no choice aside from going with Otis as the guy to eventually dethrone Chad Gable if Chad Gable is a tyrannical Intercontinental Champion. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles is the most predictable title match at Clash at the Castle. Now, you're one of my favorite troll accounts, but let me say it again, and let me say it really loud for the people in the back, because we've been saying it for a while. Predictable does not necessarily mean good. Is AJ Styles going to lose to Cody Rhodes? Yes, 1000% yes. Did it become even more likely and more predictable and more obvious that Cody Rhodes was going to win when they made it an I Quit match? Of course, Cody Rhodes is never going to say I quit, just like Cena was never going to say I quit. That's actually a fundamental problem, not necessarily just with Cody Rhodes and John Cena, but with I Quit matches in general. Typically, the babyface will never quit unless you put somebody else in danger, like Edge had to quit when they were going to kill Beth Phoenix. Is it predictable? 1000%, 100%. Am I still going to be excited for it? Am I still going to likely love this match? Is it still a match that could potentially end up being a match of the year contender? Yes. And all of this while still being predictable, because again, and I'll keep saying it, predictable is not a bad thing. Predictable can actually be good. Even with only 1.5 weeks of build, this Smackdown segment and the I Quit stipulation for the Cody versus AJ match at Clash at the Castle has made it the most interesting feud going on right now. That segment cooked. See, people are enjoying the segments. People are excited about the match. People are excited over the stipulation because they know that the end result, the food that's going to come out of that oven, is going to be delicious. Even if it is predictable, it's okay. But don't forget, this has been more than just 1.5 weeks. In my headcanon, I do count everything that they did leading up to Backlash as part of the buildup. So to me, this is a longer feud than people are giving it credit for. But everything that they've done in this cycle of the premium live event build into Clash at the Castle has been way better than everything that they did for Backlash. I love the fake retirement angle. Like you mentioned, this segment with AJ Styles like refusing to battle Cody Rhodes, staying on top of the car, Cody Rhodes like angrily and pissed off, calling him out, those two brawling with one another, being held back. Like, it was really, really good. And it's got me really excited for this stipulation. I think it was a great idea to add this cherry on top to this predictable matchup. I think that because it was predictable, because we knew that Cody was going to win, I think it was smart of the WWE to say, well, we know you know that Cody's going to win, But fuck it, let's give you just an awesome match with a stipulation that's a rarity in these days of the WWE. I think we, at the very least, might see AJ Styles on TNA products by the end of the year. I think a big plot twist is coming, and I hope it's that. I hope it's that too. It's the plot twist that makes, frankly, the most sense. It makes sense for AJ Styles to be the one to maybe go defect over to TNA. He's gonna lose to Cody Rhodes, and maybe in anger and knowing that he's gonna be sent to the back of the line, maybe forced to retire, he's gonna take his ball and go to TNA and go win a world championship over there and have another top of the line run as TNA champion. Again, it all really depends on what kind of partnership they're actually having. Is it just a partnership between NXT and TNA? If that is the case, you could still have AJ Styles be involved in NXT somehow, considering both Mia Yim, Michin, as well as the Good Brothers are all down in NXT. So it is set up for AJ Styles, even if it's only going to involve NXT in terms of this invasion between TNA and NXT, it's still set up for AJ Styles to comfortably make a transition to NXT, considering his entire group of stablemates are over there. But if you're going to do something with TNA, something that crosses over to WWE TV, even if it's just NXT, even if it doesn't touch the main roster, you gotta have AJ Styles on there. That, you know, we talk about AJ Styles saying, you know, he's the one that built Smackdown, you know, the champ that runs the camp, the house that AJ Styles built. TNA is like the company that AJ Styles built. You gotta have him involved in this somehow. As much of a Cody Rhodes fan as I am, the I Quit match does not deserve to main event over Drew versus Damian. It's funny because there's a hot take later on that basically says the opposite. It all really depends. Like, if you want the two biggest stars on the show, then it probably should be AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes. However, Drew McIntyre alone makes it worthy of having Drew versus Damian be in the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. It really all depends as to what kind of crowd you want. I think that the hotness of the Scotland crowd with Drew McIntyre getting another chance at a World Championship in front of Europeans, and this time in front of his own countrymen in Scotland, I feel like that's a big enough setup for it to be the main event. I don't know, am I wrong in that? Piper Niven should be main event material just from the promo she did on Smackdown. That was so good. I actually want her to win now. Bro, where the hell did that promo come from? They don't ever really let Piper Niven develop a promo with actual substance. It's all really given to Chelsea Green, and even Chelsea Green's promo don't typically have a lot of substance to them. They're very simple, one-dimensional, and to the point. That's not necessarily a bad thing. However, this promo that Piper Niven cut on Bayley was genuinely incredible, and actually having Chelsea Green in the background, kind of like hyping her up and mouthing certain things that she was saying, really added to the entire package. This combination of Chelsea Green and Piper Niven is really, really working for me. And if the play is to have Piper Niven be a main eventer and have Chelsea Green sort of be this, I don't know, this other force that's politicking, helping her win, I think could be a really beautiful combination in the main event scene. Frankly, they should be over on Monday Night Raw. They shouldn't have gotten drafted over to SmackDown, because right now, Monday Night Raw desperately needs this act of Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. But I'm kind of with you. I really think that Piper Niven really broke out of her shell. I'm sure she's had that in her this entire time. It's just that she's never been allowed to really show it on TV before. And myself and a lot of people were very impressed. Solo and his boy band are taking away from the legacy of the Bloodline storyline. It may pick back up and end up being elite, but at this stage of the storyline, I'm struggling to buy into it. I think a lot of us are at that point, and it is because it is in its infancy stage. I think a lot of us, took a while to really get behind Damage Control and get behind especially Judgment Day. So many of us were not impressed with early day Judgment Day. And maybe this is what we're seeing here. We really just need to let this new faction, I know they call themselves the Bloodline, but at the end of the day, it's still a new faction. They gotta find their place. I almost feel like it's the fact that they called themselves the Bloodline, that we have this giant set of expectations from them. But really, this isn't the Bloodline. It's something else entirely. And just like a lot of the factions that came before it, like I've already mentioned Judgment Day, LWO was one of those where it's taken a while for them to really find their footing. Maybe that's what we're dealing with here. So just give it some time. The new Bloodline is good, but people overhate them because they aren't as good as Roman's Bloodline. And that's part of the problem that I was saying. Frankly, they just shouldn't have been called the Bloodline. They should have just been called the Enforcers, just something else entirely, because calling yourself the Bloodline, the heir of the Bloodline, you are frankly asking to compare and be compared to the original Bloodline. And that's what's happening here. So many of us are comparing it to the early days of the OG Bloodline, and it doesn't hold up. And because they decided to call themselves the Bloodline, I feel like the criticism and the comparisons are fair. I don't care where they are. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles in an I Quit match, main event over Drew, and quote, no aura Priest every day of the week. See what I was saying? There really are two sides of the coin. I kind of feel what you're saying. Damian Priest, when you compare it to the other main eventers like Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, as well as Cody Rhodes, he does feel like a notch below them, even if he is the champion going into it. However, I do believe that just the fact that it's Drew McIntyre in Scotland, in Glasgow, I feel like that's enough to carry it into a main event. I don't think Damian Priest is doing it any favors, but I do feel at least if Damian Priest has gotten good enough and better and has been improving as a champion to the point where I don't necessarily think that he's hindering it either. The what chant needs to die. Oh my God, yes, kill this chant. It's ruining so many promos. That Piper Niven promo was the best promo of her career. And what were those idiots doing? What? Like, dude, it's not funny. It's old. Get it out of your lexicon. It's stupid. No one likes it. I think WWE is dropping the ball with Giovanni Vinci by not using him on TV. I don't know how they're going to use him, but they still need to do something with him. Homie, I'm sorry to tell you, but there's a lot of people that I think are better and more worthy of TV time than Giovanni Vinci that aren't getting TV time. Baron Corbin and Dijak immediately come to mind. Apollo Crews has been getting some TV time. I think he's more deserving than Giovanni Vinci. I don't know why they sent Giovanni Vinci to Smackdown. I feel like the thing that they should have done is have Giovanni Vinci feud with Ludwig Kaiser by excommunicating him out of Imperium and not letting him feud with Imperium. You completely ruined him. You sent him to go do meaningless tasks and meaningless side quests until eventually maybe we get back to a storyline with Imperium, because that's what you needed to do right off the rip. And now he's on Smackdown, a show that has less TV time and a show where he has pretty much no history with anyone there, because the people that he has history with are over on the other show. The Alpha Academy storyline is the best thing going on in WWE right now. Frankly, I think it's the best thing going on in all of professional wrestling. I might be a little bit biased because I really like these types of storylines. I think they kind of hit at home for me. I've had bad coaches before, coaches that I listen to, even though I know that they're wrong, but because they're an authority figure, you push forward and you do the thing they ask you to do, even though you know in your heart of hearts that you should be doing something different or doing a different way entirely. So it resonates with me and the type of person that I grew up being. But I really do think that it's fantastic. I think it's setting up Chad Gable to be a phenomenal tyrannical heel. Sami Zayn is looking like a fantastic babyface. And it's also setting up Otis, Maxine, and Tozawa to have the biggest role that they've ever had on the main roster. It's a storyline that's elevating not just two people, but 5 all in all when you really count everyone that's involved. I think Otis is going to come out a superstar, and I think that Tozawa and Maxine are going to also come out with significantly higher stocks because of how good this storyline is. WWE is currently dropping the ball on Andrade again. He came back, looked good, had a Mania match. Now he's the Speed Champion. I get there's no direction for him right now, but becoming the Speed Champion definitely doesn't help. Also, he just got back on TV. The Speed Championship on Andrade, quite frankly, makes absolutely no sense. I don't understand why they even put this thing on him. Maybe it's just to make sure that he gets out there and gets wrestling time, whatever it might be. Here's the thing. We saw that the Speed Championship didn't hinder Ricochet. In fact, Ricochet is probably involved in the most meaningful feud and storyline that he's been involved in since last SummerSlam when he was in a feud with Logan Paul. Maybe that'll end up being the case here with Andrade as well. Maybe this thing with Santos Escobar develops into something, but I have been a bit, frankly, disappointed with how they've been using Andrade. This follow-up storyline with Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma doesn't make sense considering he was just in a feud with them. He already rejected them. He went to Raw and then came back to SmackDown, and they're like, hey, you know who we should recruit? This Andrade guy's pretty good considering they just went through this whole thing like 2 months prior. It's weird. I don't like what they're doing with him right now. I don't get all the hype around Ludwig Kaiser. I don't know what you don't see, man. I see a tall, handsome, incredibly well-built, really great on the microphone, a very unique cadence and voice when it comes to his promos. The man's a James Bond villain. He is going to be a top heel in the WWE. I don't know why you don't see it, but maybe try opening your eyes. Okay, that might have been a little bit harsh. Maybe he's not your cup of tea, but I see it. I see it from head to toe. I see it all. The new Bloodline sucks. I can't take Solo seriously when he comes out every week looking like The Weeknd. Yeah, what's up with that? Why is he looking like The Weeknd? He's like morphing into The Weeknd more and more every single episode of SmackDown, and Tama Tonga and Tangaloa are becoming more and more like backup dancers. They're even getting their own monikers. The Enforcer Tama Tonga, the right hand, what is it? The right hand man Tama Tonga, and the infamous Tangaloa. Like, dude, they're sounding like a boy band. Roman's return is going to be a louder pop than CM Punk did when he returned. I don't think that that's possible considering it was CM Punk gone for 10 years and it was in Chicago and it was a genuine shock and surprise. But the return of Roman Reigns isn't about the pop. It will be legendary. It will be as to just how over of a babyface he's going to end up being. I cannot wait for Roman Reigns to return. And I don't think that he needs to change his character at all. He can just be the same guy. Raw has 100 times better stories than SmackDown right now, and SmackDown has the bigger names. That's not good. Dude, you're kind of right. SmackDown does have the bigger names. It's got Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, Logan Paul, Randy Orton, the Bloodline, and yet it just sort of feels like they are spinning in one place. It feels like not a lot of things are getting furthered and developed, and Raw with the lesser names is doing so much more. Frankly, Raw has more time to be able to develop things, and maybe that does help. Maybe the solution is to make SmackDown an hour long, but it does feel like right now the pendulum has shifted and Raw is back to being the best show, because for a while it was SmackDown. Roman Reigns is going to become a bigger face than Cody Rhodes when he returns. I oddly agree. It's not going to be the same type of baby face, but I do believe that he's just going to be so over, and he just doesn't need to change anything. It just needs to be the same character, the same presentation, the same aura. The only difference is that now he targets the bad guys. I think that that is enough to have Roman Reigns be the greatest anti-hero, the likes that we haven't seen since Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm done. Let me know if you have any extra hot takes in the comments below, or let me know what you thought about what some of these people sent in, but I'm done. Get out of here.